Hello, today is Wednesday, July the 1st, and I am Michael Ramone, your state representative with your daily report. The numbers, day 112, COVID has hit Delaware, 31st day that we are into our reopening of our state. We have 11,474 COVID positive cases in Delaware, and we have 5,065 in Newcastle County. 99,407 negative COVID tests and 6,667 recovered persons who had COVID. We have 64 in our hospitals, one of the lowest numbers for a very long time since the beginning. 13 in critical, 509 deaths, 244 of those in Newcastle, and once again, 0 in the 21st. Yesterday, we reviewed our recent session days, voting on the budget bills, JFC, bond, and grant and aid, all discussed on our daily report. And the governor's dealing with phase 3 reopening in Delaware due to the outbreak in the beaches is also covered on yesterday's daily report. Today, we're going to summarize our last day in session, last day and early morning today. The closing out of the 150th General Assembly, and quite frankly, 4 quick words. It was interesting, unusual, disappointing, but I was very gratified to be able to take part in it. Tomorrow, we are going to have our daily reports focusing on what now and a map out for the path forward. Unfortunately, all the 4th of July fireworks have been canceled at this point. They just canceled the Dewey. The governor said that we were not doing those. The Hocus and Parade is canceled. That will be very disappointing since Janet Kilpatrick and I have been the MC on that for years, and it's going to be the first year we aren't able to do that. The phase 3 reopening in Delaware is postponed, and additionally, the governor has put added restrictions on bars and restaurants at the beaches, and they've been imposed basically because of the additional outbreak in the Bethany, Rehoboth, Dewey Beach areas. Our 12th crab feast, I am very, very sad to say, will have to be postponed. It is normally, on July the 12th. It's actually our 15th crab feast. On July the 12th will be postponed. And we are hoping we can have that fundraising event. It's usually our campaign kickoff to start up our campaign. We're hoping we'll have that later in the summer. But the campaigns are starting up, so away we'll go. They begin for November elections. They start now, basically, after the last day of session. Everyone starts knocking on doors and walking districts. I'm sure campaigns will take a different look this year. We have some really interesting ideas on how we're going to try to still get out to our people and listen and hear what we need to do to be the best representative I can be. I am running for re-election, and I am very hopeful that many of the things we weren't able to complete this year because of the COVID virus, we'll be able to digest next year. As you all know, after the 150th goes, after 2 years of a General Assembly, all the bills that were in the cooker all die. So we have to restart all of those bills again next year. We had some really good bills, some really good initiatives on bond, and most of which have been curtailed because of the lack of funds and, of course, the different digestion of how we did our political process. Next week, we have the presidential primary. We have our town hall at Skyline School, and we have the Red Clay School Board meeting on SROs in the school. The presidential primary, most of you got absentee ballots on, so you can do them by absentee without having to go out if you're worried about the COVID virus. The town hall is on Wednesday. It starts from 6 to 8. It will address all the items and issues going on in the Pike Creek area, from buildings in the shopping centers, different areas that we're not sure about, a county council summary, a legislative summary, some reports from Artesian Water, from DP&L. We will have, we're looking for Goldie Beacom to come in and just give us a little bit of guidance on how they are going to be handling the COVID outbreak, since that's right in our backyard. There will be a lot of different people there. We're starting to publicize it today, and the details on the agenda will come out towards the end of the week. So in summarizing last night and this morning, the final session, as we closed the 150th, a few words came to mind, as I said. One, interesting. It was the first ever session virtually that was held to close out a legislative session. It was very difficult. It was drastically affected the legislators' ability to get things done and to finalize efforts that we've been working on for up to 2 years, some of us. So it was very interesting to watch how that final session virtually took place. It was basically uneventful. It just sort of started around 11:30, 11:15, and it went to about 12:30. And we closed the session, but we have to close it after midnight so that if we have to open back up for special session, we have the ability to do that. It was unusual since all of us were going and we had no expectations because it never happened before. It's very difficult to communicate, as everyone knows now with all the Zoom communications. It just isn't the same as a traditional session of legislators being able to walk across the aisle, work together, and try to get things done. So basically, there was nothing that was done. We just closed out the session. Often on the last day, some really wonderful bills get passed, and occasionally some shenanigans happen at 4 in the morning, like we watched 2 years ago when another senator had retired. But this year was eventfulness, and nothing happened. It was disappointing after starting this session in particular with such a roaring economy, figuring we were going to have a couple $100 million of extra dollars to do some really important things in Delaware, especially when they affected our water and our schools and education. And then losing the $500 million to the COVID virus just made everything flip upside down. It resulted in cutting many good projects, and the funding of bond initiatives dropped by $300 million to offset the deficit. But I was also very, very grateful, because I was grateful that 3 years ago, Treasurer Simpler and Governor Carney had developed a committee called the Budget Smoothing Committee, on which I was chosen as the Republican legislator. There was 4 legislators, one from each party, one from each body, one Senate and House, and the 4 of us got to participate in this. And that committee came up with what I thought was an excellent bill, but it did not get passed. So the governor then made an executive order, and we ended up taking a certain percentage of monies every single year. We had a surplus and putting it away. Well, that funding, just over the 3 years, got almost up to $200 million, and thank goodness it did, because this past year, we took a lot of those proceeds to help offset the rest of the budget. The $300 million hit that we took to bond, plus the 100 and something million that we then used of the budget smoothing fund, helped us be able to balance our budget with little to no cuts. And that was very, very important to me. I know it was very, very important to the state. And I am hopeful that people can see why I personally and the state of Delaware should be very grateful that we took that prudent initiative to not just spend every dollar that comes in, but to do the best we could to save for a day like today. So it got us through last night. With that, I just want to thank you for trusting me to be your legislator and allow me to serve our community. During this unprecedented time in history, I think some of the experience that I've gotten over the last 11 years definitely helped me help Delaware be stronger. I am extremely proud and grateful of the 21st. Still no COVID deaths, still one of the lowest districts in the state for COVID positive cases. We're doing our part. We're keeping on our masks. We're doing our best to work together and to help support one another so that we don't make our most critical portions of our communities and our populations get COVID and become another one of the statistics. Thank you for helping me help our community. I'm hopeful to be reelected and continuing to serve the 21st through this pandemic. And once again, I think it's a time to keep the consistency and the behavior and the input that we've had over the last 3 months for the next 2 years. With your help, we'll be able to do that, and I'll be very, very grateful and appreciative to anything you can do to help me be a better legislator for the next 2 years. With that, I do say thank you, stay healthy, and stay safe.